Today, The Guardian is one of the most powerful media brands in the English-speaking world. In terms of monthly visitors online, it does better than the likes of The Times, hardly surprising. They have a paywall. But it's also much better than The Sun, Sky News, the Daily Mirror, and the Express too. Now, the paper was started in 1821. It was originally driven by a desire to take on the Tory press. You might not know this, but actually it was started in response to the infamous Peterloo Massacre of 1819. Back then, 17 people were killed, hundreds were injured, as tens of thousands of working class people from across Manchester and the surrounding areas came together to demand parliamentary reform and democracy. Since then, the Manchester Guardian, and in more recent decades, just the Guardian, has been associated with progressive causes and the left. That doesn't mean they get everything right. Look at the coverage of the Corbyn years, the fawning over Starmer, and the ridiculous fudges regarding Israel as it commits genocide. A lot of that is because The Guardian has always been, since its inception, a liberal and not a socialist publication. Left-wingers get really upset with it for being insufficiently left-wing. That's kind of the point. It isn't. And it certainly doesn't look at politics primarily through the perspective of class. That's something which has only been confirmed by a new development. The Guardian and Lingua Franca launched a new collection in support of independent journalism. Want to support fearless journalism? Want to defend progressive values in an era of rising political polarization? Here, buy a $380 cashmere jumper. It's not Primark, is it, folks? Now look, I like sustainable materials, and of course, fast fashion is bad, but I can get a cashmere jumper at Uniqlo for £80. In any case, and this is why we're talking about it, the politics of this is super, super interesting. The Guardian article highlighting the collaboration says this. The exclusive collection features 5 Guardian phrases on Lingua Franca's signature hand-stitched sweaters, including "Facts are sacred," "For fact's sake," inspired by the Guardian's over 200-year legacy as leader of the free press. I love the humility here. A portion of proceeds will benefit theguardian.org, a non-profit working to strengthen and amplify independent journalism. For fact's sake. For fact's sake. I'm wheezing. Anyway, this is the interesting bit. The Lingua Franca collaboration, launched in tandem with The Guardian's first major US brand campaign, The Whole Picture, showcases the diverse voices and verticals that power The Guardian's journalism. This includes US editor Betsy Reed, deputy editor of the Race and Equity Desk Lauren N. Williams, investigative reporter George Joseph, political correspondent Adam Gabbett, lifestyle and wellness editor Estelle Tang, and features writer Elena Demopoulos. In alignment with The Guardian's values, the Lingua Franca collection is made with a focus on natural materials, sustainable production, and ethical labor. If your values are aligned with $380 cashmere jumpers, that's more than £300, can I humbly submit that your values aren't aligned with working people? We're values-led. What are the values? Really expensive clothes. Now, I looked at the website for this brand to see what else they make. Maybe it's a one-off. Maybe I'm being unfair. But no. Folks, we've reached peak lib. First, there's this. Kamala for the people. It's sold out just like her. $380 as well. Kamala for the people. What people? I guess the ones who can afford a $380 jumper. Maybe that's why she lost. Maybe that's why progressive America is in a bit of a pickle. Okay? You're the party of people that can afford $380 for a cashmere jumper with a slogan on it. Oh, why? Why can't we get working class voters? Why did Trump do better than any Republican in the 21st century in terms of winning working class people of color in major cities? There you go. Then there's this one. I dissent to the price tag. That's something to dissent with. And then there's this one. Who run the world? I'll tell you who runs the world. If you have a class analysis, the people that run the world are the same people that can afford $380 for a jumper, for the most part. Who runs the world? So edgy. You do. You're probably in the top 1% of income earners in the United States. Finally, there's this. Don't agonize, organize. Organize who? The people making the $380 sweaters? I don't think so. I don't think there are trade union reps in the clothing industry that can afford that somehow. Are there trade union reps wearing quite luxury brands these days? I don't recall going to an RMT picket or a Unison picket of cleaning ladies and seeing Loro Piana and Brunello Cucinelli. Harriet, people might think I'm being harsh, but actually, I think this story is such a great snapshot of what's gone wrong with liberalism, because really important political acts have been reduced to slogans for cashmere jumpers. What's your view?
First of all, Aaron, I've got to say, these jumpers are so indescribably ugly, and I'd need to be paid quite a lot of money to wear one, never mind buying one. That's just a little bit of personal sartorial commentary from me over here. But the more serious point here is, of course, that capitalism co-ops radical political slogans. It co-ops them, it splashes them on a product, and then we spend our money on them, and it feels like we're kind of doing something. You are not doing something by buying one of these jumpers. You are feeding money back into, I would say, a centre-left, nominally legacy media paper that was pretty responsible for constantly plunging the knife into Jeremy Corbyn's leadership of the Labour Party and cheerleading the anti-Semitism smear narrative. That's what The Guardian was really good at. Like, the Labour Party had an actual socialist leader, and the Guardian, this nominally centre-left paper, took it as its sort of raison d'etre, its mission in life, to completely destroy his leadership. Its reporting on Gaza, while maybe slightly better than the BBC's, has been pretty lackluster and has prioritised Israeli Hasbara, its own propaganda, and Israeli comments on what's gone on, far beyond where it should have been, giving them priority in stories where a Russian justification for bombing or war crimes would probably never have even been added to the piece. These I wouldn't even buy a copy of The Guardian anymore, never mind spend, £300 on one of their cashmere jumpers. It really is giving the era of the "this is what a feminist looks like" t-shirts. I don't know if anyone remembers those, but they were only £45. But we had politicians like Theresa May and Nick Clegg being photographed in t-shirts that said "this is what a feminist looks like." This is Theresa May, architect of the hostile environment, and somebody who kept austerity rolling out, and Nick Clegg, who was the Lib Dem leader at the time when the Lib Dems were in coalition with the Tory government, and they created austerity, which harmed women as one of the most vulnerable groups in society who were most deeply damaged by the austerity agenda, and that's materially on women's life chances. T-shirts, bags, mugs, anything that's got like progressive stuff slapped all over it, meaningless, worthless, just in service of capitalism. Having said that, I would like to highlight how great Novara Media's merch is. I use this water bottle pretty much constantly. And the proceeds of it, not only is it ethically made, but the proceeds of it actually go back into our journalism. And we're an incredibly small team doing actually really big work. And when we're reporting on articles, which is a large part of my job at Novara Media, we are challenging legacy media narratives. We're trying to get to the heart of issues and do actual truth-telling rather than just repeating Israeli propaganda or a government line.
I mean, I was laughing there because Harriet's gone from slagging off slogans on T-shirts to saying that buy our slogans on T-shirts. But just to be clear, Novara's merch is much more fairly priced. I buy it, and it's very, very ethical. The organic cotton, fully unionized supply chains, cooperatively owned printers. I think zero carbon distribution, like very, 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 very ethical stuff. And we all want to buy ethical clothing. The point is, you don't, a $380 cashmere jumper. The problem in our society right now is that about 5% of the population has too much money. That's the big problem. It's not the only problem. I don't subscribe to that. If we just raise tax on the rich, everything will be fine. I don't quite agree with that. I think we have lots of problems on the supply side where we could learn from, guess who? China, but whatever. One of the major problems is that 5% of the population they have too much money. And by the way, if you can afford $380 for a cashmere jumper, you're one of those people. right? And just because you write on it, don't agonize, organize, it doesn't mean you're not part of the problem. Now, I'm sure many of the people who are willing to buy those jumpers want to pay more taxes or whatever. That's fine. That's fine. But look, this really grates me, guys. Maybe we'll take a few comments. There's been a cost of living crisis, right? People are really struggling. If you're the foremost center-left publication in the English-speaking world, and you're saying that a product which costs $380 aligns with your values, I think that says something about your values and how you're out of step with the people who need your politics the most. It's kind of how I feel. I don't know about you. I was talking about this to my wife the other day. She earns good money. I earn less good money, but whatever. It's two incomes. And we don't go out. We don't buy nice things, really. We don't. Like birthday present or whatever. Yeah, of course. But we don't buy nice things. We have one holiday a year, which fantastic. Very grateful for that. But we don't spend a ton of money. And I was just saying to her, like, success is being able to have a kid, maybe have another one, just getting through the week. That's success to us. The idea that we would spend 300 quid on a jumper is wild. And we're doing okay. So I don't see how you can think your political project is going to help working people and that you have them foremost in your mind when you're spending that kind of money on a jumper. Conditions determine consciousness. If you're in that set of circumstances, I question how much use your politics is going to be for working class Brits. Harriet, I know you want to come back.
I want to come back, Aaron, because I've slagged off branded merch as like it's not helping anybody, it's not radical, it's not anything. But I think that you're right, that the real problem with these Guardian cashmere sweaters is that they're an offensive price point, and we are in a cost of living crisis. All my money gets funneled back to my landlord, who doesn't actually live in this country, but he owns 8 properties in London and collects extortionate, eye-watering rents on them. Like, how did anyone at the Guardian think this was appropriate? Like, who are they aiming these products at? Not normal people going to work doing an ordinary job. Like, who can afford a £300 jumper? It's utterly insane. How is this a paper that's going to hold Keir Starmer's feet to the fire over the fact that he hasn't materially improved conditions for people in Britain? He's done absolutely, pretty much as far as I can see, zero to do that. His Plan B phase is in tatters already to sell jumpers.
What was that, Harriet? Sorry.
I just said, but the Guardian's priority, it seems to be selling some expensive jumpers.
Yeah, well, the next time they write an editorial on like a strike or something, right? The Guardian position is we cannot support the strikes by nurses. They want a 4% pay rise. Right? Okay, put those two together. They can't have a 4% pay rise, but we want to sell you this $380 jumper. Maybe those two things are connected. Just a thought. Thank you, Harriet, for joining me this evening.
Thank you so much, Aaron. And to all the commenters saying that they really want Northern and non-London IRL downstream events from Novara, be assured that we are working on it. And I really, really want that too as a non-London born journalist. It's very close to my heart, and I'm keen that we have one of those in the near future.
There's a comment here. James Brown, Aaron, be careful. I think you said you'd pay £80 for a jumper. You're out of touch. First of all, I don't own any jumpers that cost £80. So I can't be out of touch. That's how much a cashmere jumper is from Uniqlo. Okay. You don't need to spend 300 quid on one. There's one for 80. Cashmere is cashmere. Maybe I'm wrong. I buy my jumpers from M&S, 35, 40 pounds. I think that's middle class. A £40 jumper. I thought that was middle class. What do I know?